In the summer of 166 BC, the ground outside Daphne began to vibrate. These tremors weren't natural. They were the rhythmic output of tens of thousands of marching feet, turning the sun-baked plains into massive clouds of dust. King Antiochus IV had summoned 55,500 troops for a single afternoon. This was the largest military assembly in the history of the Hellenistic East, a massive, meticulously choreographed display of imperial reach. The sheer scale of the parade was meant to drown out a humiliating geopolitical defeat. Just months earlier, Antiochus had been forced to abandon a winning campaign in Egypt because a single Roman envoy drew a line in the sand and ordered him to leave. Outmatched by the Republic's diplomatic weight, the king had to march home in silence. To prevent this retreat from looking like a total collapse, Antiochus organized this review to signal to his own subjects and his rivals in the east that his military resources remained untouched and ready for his upcoming campaign against Parthia. This entire spectacle was a fight against perception. Antiochus was attempting to project a level of total dominance that the Roman Republic had already proven he didn't actually possess. The vanguard set the tone for this desperate modernization. 5,000 Seleucid infantrymen marched onto the field, equipped not with Greek spears, but with the oval shields and short swords of the Roman legion. Antiochus spent years as a hostage in Rome, where he watched the Republic's military machine firsthand. Having seen Roman legions dismantle his father's traditional army, he built this teaching brigade to force Roman tactics into his own ranks. Behind them came 11,000 mercenaries, a diverse collection of Mysian, Thracian, and Galatian warriors. The Galatians were particularly distinct, draped in blue cloaks and carrying the massive door-board shields common to the Celtic tribes of Asia Minor. The presence of these specific fighters revealed a secret logistics network. The Treaty of Apamea strictly forbade the Seleucid Empire from recruiting in Europe, so Antiochus used allied kings to smuggle these elite fighters across the border, bypassing Roman oversight. Following the foreign specialists came the traditional mass of the empire. 20,000 phalanges, the Greek-descended citizen soldiers who formed the heavy infantry corps. Within this mass were the 5,000 bronze shields. These men wielded 6-meter sarissa pikes and represented the generational military families that had served the Seleucid throne since the time of Alexander the Great. By placing this traditional phalanx directly behind his new Roman-style vanguard, Antiochus was reacting to a decade of catastrophe. With the Roman legion recently proving itself superior to the phalanx at battles like Pydna, this arrangement looked less like a tradition and more like a liability. As the slow infantry corps cleared the field, the parade's momentum shifted to the mobile wings, where the empire's cavalry formations began their sweep. The Nicaean heavy cavalry from Media represented the most armored contingent on the field. Both the riders and their horses were draped in comprehensive quilted scale armor, turning the unit into a wall of moving metal. This reliance on medium horsemen highlighted a shift in the empire's center of gravity. To maintain the shock power needed for modern warfare, the Seleucid throne was becoming dangerously dependent on the resources and loyalty of its easternmost provinces. The procession then brought out the legacy weapons of the ancient Near East, scythed chariots. These platforms featured long, lethal blades jutting from the wheel hubs, designed to tear through loose infantry formations. The ground shook for the final contingent, 36 armored war elephants. Each animal moved with a dedicated squad of protective infantry and carried a fortified tower on its back for archers and spearmen. This was the most provocative moment of the entire parade. Rome had explicitly and legally banned the Seleucid Empire from owning any war elephants at all. Parading these animals wasn't just a military display, it was a public rejection of Roman treaty law. Antiochus was using strictly illegal weapons to project a level of sovereignty that he no longer possessed. In the short term, the Daphne Parade worked. The sheer technical display and the variety of troops temporarily silenced internal dissent and forced rivals to reconsider their borders. But the stability lasted only as long as the king. Shortly after this display, Antiochus died while on campaign in the east, leaving the throne to a succession of weak heirs and rival claimants. Without a single authority to hold the military together, the grand facade showcased at Daphne began to crack. Decades of internal civil wars followed, with the empire's elite resources being turned inward. The Romanized infantry, the heavy cavalry, and the mercenary specialists were gradually consumed by these internal conflicts, leaving the borders open to the very Parthian and Roman threats Antiochus had tried to deter. The ultimate collapse of the illusion occurred just 4 years after the parade. Roman envoys arrived in Syria, and meeting no effective resistance, systematically slaughtered the exact war elephants that had thundered through Daphne. The parade survives as the most detailed snapshot of the Hellenistic war machine at its absolute peak, captured right before internal decay and the Roman military extinguished it for good.